Hello everybody. My name is Taj Jimenez. I'm a child development and education practitioner for 5 years already. So I specialize in the early development stages. That's 18 months up to their preteens. So mostly primary grades and preschool is what I handle. Currently, I live in Singapore, and I'm teaching children ages 18 months to 28 months. So with that, well, some people call those ages the terrific twos. Well, I don't want to label it the other way because they're very terrific. They do have a lot of conflict that they don't know how to resolve yet by themselves, and it is a repeating cycle, not just for children ages 2, but each of the age brackets have their own quirks when they are interacting and fighting with their friends. So let me share my screen and let's start. So my talk today is going to be about competition and conflict, how to foster a healthy competitive mindset to our young children, to preteens, how to build their self-esteem sustainably, um, and how to teach them conflict resolution skills. So if you want to join the Mentimeter, so here's the code. You may go to menti.com and enter 15864494, or use your cameras to scan the QR code, and we'll be answering actually just 2 questions along our presentation, just so we can keep up with each other, even if our question and answer is at the end. So I'll tell you the flow first, and while I'm telling you the flow, you may actually start answering one question in Menti. So I will be flashing it in a bit. So what we're going to talk about at the beginning is we're going to talk about how conflict and competition starts inside our homes and inside the classroom. How do we use our language as a tool to build it in a healthy way? What is motivation, and how do we define success in a way that children would see it healthily and not very toxic to them, as they're still grasping how winning and losing is. And then we're going to talk about media exposure, just a little bit of it, because our children now, well, we know that they're already exposed to a lot of different media, may that be cartoons, the internet, songs that they hear. How does motivation appear in that, and how is competition given or viewed to them? So we're also going to talk about the good and the bad of sibling rivalry. So you may not know that it also has its good benefits. Also, the good and bad when it comes to competition in the classroom, and how to teach them conflict management. And towards the end, I'm going to show you how to actually build sustainable self-esteem for children, some tips and phrases on how to raise resilient kids, and how we can be proactive with our children. So let's go. So as you can see in these words on the screen, just stop fighting, I can't take it anymore, why can't you just be nice to one another? This may be one of the phrases that we've heard growing up inside the classroom, or maybe at home. Can I just see a show of hands? Who here has a sibling or has a close cousin? I do. I have 3 sisters. I have like 15 cousins, and not even counting the second cousins, the 3rd generation cousins. I do. I have a lot of those. And with that, that means I've had some fights with some of them. And these are some of the words that I did hear, well, as I was growing up. And we might find ourselves responding to our own children in the same way that our parents, well, responded to us when we did have fights with the people around us. And we might not realize it, but we're using it because we don't know any other way to respond. But when you consciously think about which responses your parents used, just like so, that were effective and which were not, you can find alternative and better ways to cope with rivalry with your children. So we have to remember that rivalry, competition, is inevitable to some degree when it comes to children, because as they are still learning on how to self-soothe, how to problem solve, how to react to a certain situation. So it really is inevitable. But it does not mean that there is something wrong with your children or with the way you are handling the class or parenting inside your home. So even though it seems pointless to you, the fighting and the bickering do offer your children opportunities to learn life skills. Um, Children gain some benefits from the fighting. So we have to let go of the idea that we can completely eliminate conflict and competition inside the classroom in our home. What we need to imbibe in our minds is that we will be in a stronger position to manage the fighting and the bickering when we give up the total image of a classroom or a home that is in complete 100% harmony, because it's not really possible. But the goal, our goal as the adults, is to teach our children how to handle their own emotions and reactions so that they can prevent themselves from starting a fight, and knowing how to soothe and solve their own problems whenever they do find themselves fighting. So it's healthy to fight. We don't have to stop them from completely fighting, because if a room is not, I mean, if you have a room of children and for example you go on for example 3 months and nobody has been fighting, I would personally be scared, because one of them might be hurting some of their friends. They might be into some, they might have learned, for example, even darker ways of fighting, like blackmailing, maybe even, physically going to it, and then, taunting and scaring off their friends. Like if you tell mom, I'm going to, for example, lock you in the room, or if you tell our teacher, you'll never have any friends. See, those kinds of things that will happen behind our backs for sure is something that we would want to prevent for everyone. So we have to make sure that all of the conflicts can be healthily managed, and is well, all the conflicts, children will feel that it is safe for them to share it to us. So let's not make children feel like fighting is a bad thing, because it can be constructive. And moving on, the way that rivalry and actually competition starts is by your approach to it. So when children are inside the room, they actually see how you interact with each and every one of them. And the way you manage also yourself is also, they kind of absorb it. They're kind of like a sponge. For example, a neighbor. A neighbor, for example, gives you, for example, a whole pot of like good lasagna. And then you don't really mean it and you don't say it to your child, but you say, this neighbor is trying to fill me up. I'm not going to their house party next weekend. But you don't actually say it to your child, but your child actually sees it because they're very observant, and they will absorb this kind of energy and this kind of language and kind of convert it to how they interact with their friends. So with our children's well-being and future in mind, we have to understand that the way we talk to the people around us when they're in the room or even without, because how people talk to them and how people describe us to them will also affect them in some kind of way. So yeah, so we have to control that also. We have to do some self reflections so that we can we can assess on how children might be responding to different impulses or different problems. Also, another way, on another note, I mean, what really is success and how do you measure it, for example, in your home? Is it who will be the fastest? Is it who will be the smartest? Who has the better grades? Who has a lot of friends, for example, or for example, in your classroom, who spelled all the words correctly? And do you put that in a pedestal that everyone can appreciate? Or is it something that becomes a little bit shameful for some who are not that skilled and only good to those who are smart and not really very nice to those who are not? So here are some tips for when you're interacting with two or more children in the classroom. So first, we have to stop comparisons as a way to motivate them. So as I said, let's not motivate them in a way that we're going to compare them with one another, such as, wow, your sister is so good at this. Don't you think it's nice to do the same? I mean, these are phrases that seem normal, but when a child really thinks about it, when they process it, they start to feel that they might be inferior. Or if you're the sister that should be, the top one, then they're superior. And if they're not superior, then there must be something wrong. See, so both of them are not really having it in a very positive light in the long run, right? Another is that when you have a lot of children or interacting with a group of children, whether at home, in the classroom, at church, in the playground, let's really know our children one-on-one. So for example, if you have two kids, spend time with them together and separately. So when you're together, just one-on-one time, you make sure that you actually know what they like, you appreciate who they are as a person. If it's a lot of students in a room, maybe even just 10 minutes every day. It doesn't have to be very tedious one-on-one. It just can be, for example, during snack time, you just go around the room. Or for example, if they are your children at home, you can go before they sleep, just ask them how they feel, give them a little bedtime story that is, unique to their different personalities, and just to know them as they are, as the person they are becoming. And this will also help you know what kind of strategies to teach them, because with children that are within the same space of one another, I personally believe as an educator that we should not treat our children equally. Can you just try to remember that? Let's not treat our children equally. Why not? Why not? Because if you treat every kid equally, there might be a kid that you give this resource to, and that's not what they need. Okay, maybe I'll give you an example. Maybe I'll ask a group of 5 children, if they trip on a playground and then they hurt their elbow, you'll give them a band-aid because there's a scrape. But then the second child falls and loses their tooth. But then, as it is equal, you gave the first one a band-aid, the second child who lost the tooth, you'll also give a band-aid. That's equal, right? It's the same thing, but it's not fair. The third one might have lost a shoe in the playground as they were running. They lost a shoe, and this is their way of, then you give them a band-aid too. See, it's not really helpful, and so on. So let's not treat our children equally. Rather, let's treat them fairly. And how do we do that? And it's to spend time with them one-on-one and to learn who they are, what they need, their strengths, their weaknesses as a person. This can be done by just spending 10 minutes or maybe one day each month if you have children at home. Just one day each month. I mean, if that's the time that you have, you spend something that you can do one-on-one together, focus time, no phone. Just compare rule, or another tip is to make use of rules and routine. So children won't be as chaotic and won't be as confused. I mean, there will only be fights when they don't know what to do, when they are misguided, or they lack a certain kind of attention. If you have a prevention, the best prevention here is to make use of rules and routine. So you can have rules and routine at your home. You can have, as I mentioned in my previous talk, one of the best ways to make a rule is to completely omit the word no, so that we can focus on being proactive and encouraging our children to be positive learners wherever they are. In relation to that, we can also encourage positive relationships with our children, but we don't have to force it. Let's not make it a thing that they should, for example, hug our siblings just because they are siblings. I mean, if they don't understand the meaning of the hug, let's not make them do it. Children also have boundaries that we have to respect, and let's not force them to do anything that they don't want to do. So we have to understand also their perspective on things, their point of view. Let's also stop forcing our children to parent other children, such as their cousins, their younger siblings. This also blocks a connection with them, because you're treating this child as a second adult in the room already, which they are not yet. So we have to instead, we have to build a routine, for example, a sibling routine. What is this sibling routine? It can be a simple activity that promotes connection, belonging, unity. What kind of activities this might be? It could be as simple as eating. Maybe they like eating certain something, for example, potatoes. Then you can introduce different ways of how to cook potatoes. Then it can be their thing as siblings. Like, oh, did you know mom has this new recipe? Have you tried it? And guess what? It's potatoes. Yeah, it could be something as simple as that. It can be as grand as, for example, combining their different interests into one grand activity, such as camping, maybe painting together. Yeah, and we notice the activities that get our children getting along with one another, music, art, and utilize it to bond with them and to encourage them to bond with one another in a fun way, but not forced. And also, we have to remember that no child is in the wrong. Everyone is learning in their own pace and development. And yeah, they children just want to find out how they can promote a warm and close relationship that can carry on forward to how they are as adults. So as parents, we do worry that our children will become well hurt or physically hurt, have their self-esteem damaged, um, become bullies, never stop fighting, having poor relationship as adults, lacking empathy and not care for others. But this can be resolved by um reframing how to motivate our children. So as I mentioned a while ago, um, there are labels that are sometimes not really helpful in motivating our children to do their best. So some of the kids way to feel that they're on top of the world is to be the fastest, the smartest, and the strongest, or the winner. Now, while rewards can help increase their drive to succeed, it is important to think, what are my children learning when I impose these kinds of prizes onto them? How are they starting to view, or how are they going to view winning and losing? Is it if they win, they should be receiving something? Is it if they lose, they're completely out of the game? We should think if there are any good outcomes, or what are the good outcomes of preparing, for example, not even a prize, a consequence for those who cannot complete a task. Well, now that we have these questions laid out, let's acknowledge that we all here are here because we want to encourage positive performance, but in a healthy way. So competition can frequently be viewed as a double-edged sword. And um, some learners can be overly competitive, and they might use some tactics that are not really that healthy. So others may find the competition not motivating, a little off-putting. But let's focus on the fact that we should teach our children on how to be competitive and how to lose in a more constructive and graceful way. So we have to teach them how to deal with winning and losing with character, so that they can be a good loser. So it is okay to lose. It's just in a game or in a competition, there will always be someone who will win and someone who will lose. But let's not make it the whole thing of the competition. We It's also important to see that where kids are learning about competitiveness, that there are other factors such as sportsmanship. So that could be a thing where the coach encourages their players to, for example, give a quick handshake or give clap to the other team players. And you have to remind them that there is a winner and there is a loser, but what's important is that you do your best and you were better than you were ever before, or that you are still trying because you have a certain goal. Now, research has shown that a focus on effort over outcome relates to greater persistence and confidence across all types of tasks for young children, including academics, sports, which often means learning and doing better performance. And further, rewards such as, for example, gold medals or um letter grades, numeric grades, for example, in Asia, don't always motivate kids in the same way. Now, some rewards may be detrimental to intrinsic motivation. So what will happen? Let's think what will happen if we remove um, these materialistic motivation. Will our children still be wanting to do their best? So or if children know that there's a certain punishment in the end of not completing a task, will they be more anxious, and in the result they will not do their best at all because they know, hey, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I don't think I'm going to do my best. I mean, I don't think I can reach the goal, so I'm not gonna do it anyway. I'm very scared. Um, yeah, we have to rethink the motivation. So if giving concrete rewards to children aren't really beneficial in the long run, then what is? So what we can do is we can reinforce new behaviors. So this is a cycle, and it can be something that you do yearly with your children or with your students if you're following them grade per grade. So you have to determine why your child is struggling in school, or what they're having problems with at home. Um, is your child not aware of the rules? Are they having trouble understanding the material? Or it can be a mix of number of things. And you can only know this when you know your children individually and not really treat them as a one solution for all. So after identifying the problem for each of your child, you think of the frequency of the reinforcement. So studies do show that reinforcements work best, or rewards work best in short-term increments. So this can be simple as a stamp, stars, could be for older kids, could be as simple as going to the dollar store if they are able to submit their homework. But then also the reward should also match their behavior. So it could be logically connected. For example, if you finish all your homework, that means you have more time to go outside. Then yes, you can go to the mall. That's a connected reward. Or if you are able to decide for yourself how much you can eat and you actually finish it, well, I guess that means you know how much you can eat, and you can, for example, get your own dessert. You can decide what you want to do, what you want to eat next, because you can feel already, you can understand how your body works. Then it's a um related reward. With that in mind, I'm also telling everybody to personalize our approach also. So we have to think about what our children need to do well at school. What do our children need at home? Do they need more parental guidance? Do they need more attention? Attention is not really a negative thing when it comes to children as young as what we're talking about. They really do need attention, and there's no blanket solution to these different problems, because our children's strengths and weaknesses can be different. So we have to personalize our approach. Thus, what I said earlier, treating our children fairly. To be fair to them is to um, knowing who they are and giving what they need to them as they are as a person. So we have to also celebrate with experiences rather than stuff. You can also think about that. You can also do different rewards, such as, for example, end of year rewards, such as camping, going to the beach, going to the fair, or even just to give them time to spend together in a very fun and different way. And the way we motivate our children to be the best versions of themselves is the starting point of how they will react to competition. So ultimately, we have to model affirming language to ourselves and to other people, so that we can show proactive behavior and relationships to our children. So let's talk more about what happens in the classroom. So what are some of the effects of competition inside the classroom. So competition can make children work together. So in this age of individualism, children, for example, in the primary grades already know somewhat a concept of what they can do best, and what they can do comfortably. So, but also at the same time, children spend less time taking and getting to know one another. So sometimes when a bunch of children hop on to trends, they feel like, oh, we have a lot of things that we like. um you did this trend, I did this trend too, I use this audio in my TikTok, I use this audio in my reel. That means we have a vibe, and that's not really getting one another very deeply. So letting them work together inside the classroom lets them ask more questions not related to these superficial things that they feel are the baseline of the connection. So, working with other children to reach a common goal is an important skill to learn, not just in sports, but in life in general. Because how they start to do team building inside the classroom will affect how they will do it when they are already in the workforce or when they are outside in their neighborhood. So children will learn how to get along with others through competition, just so long as we establish clear rules and boundaries in the classroom. Another pro of using competition in the classroom is by helping children learn more about self-regulation. So it helps them control their own feelings. So with proper guidance, competition lets kids think about how to act when they're in distraught, which helps them develop strong emotional intelligence. So will they react on the spot? Will they keep it to themselves, tell it to you after class? Will they keep it to themselves, tell it to their parents or to their sibling or a trusted adult? Because control and competence go hand in hand. When a child feels that they are in charge of their own feelings, they're more likely to work hard and try new things to learn. So competition also brings out innovation, because as they are learning about how other people think, about how to use their friends' weaknesses and strengths, how to maximize their strengths as well, and working together, they will have to think outside of the box on how to mesh these things together so that they can work as a team. It will push everybody to break out of their comfort zones because, hey, I'm not good at this, but you are. So maybe when we do it together, we can have a simple mash of this and that. So children will be more likely to try new things, which will help them be more creative and solve problems together. And where else to be safe in trying new things and different techniques than in the classroom where you can see them? So competition is good in this way. Students also get motivated because the spirit in the classroom, the energy, the what's happening inside gets the children to work harder because they feel it, the energy. It's just the same as us. Like I definitely work better when I'm surrounded by adults who are also working, for example. That's why as a millennial, I work better when I'm in the library or in the cafe where everyone else is typing, and I feel like, oh, everyone else is typing, the energy is good, I can focus, rather than just being by myself or studying, for example, by the kitchen. I mean, yeah, there are neurodivergent children who have different ways of focusing and getting motivated. And sometimes when you instill a little bit of competition, students get motivated to dive into the challenges and learn more about themselves, about others, as they are going through the winning process. Students also have a safe space for failure. So this is what I said a while ago, that you have to teach them how to lose gracefully. And yeah, because when you do imbibe a little competition in the room, students will be competitive and they will push themselves to try their hardest. But some children might not be able to do well. This setback might make them work harder, or it might also affect their performance as a student through the year. So this is where you will want to zoom in to your children one at a time, so that you can help them and scaffold them where they should work harder, or if they should stop. That's also a thing. You also have to be sensitive of when to be accepting of when children say they want to stop, because this is a boundary they're already telling you. And lastly, competition in the room encourages them to take risks. So in line with motivation and talking to their friends, going outside their comfort zone, students that are in a group or competing with one another often do things they don't know how to do well. So they have risks such as signing up or doing a different thing. And all of these things, once they do achieve it or they do have a feel of success, it will boost their confidence in the classroom. So aside from preparing them for wins and losses later in their adult life, competitive activities also help kids develop important skills such as resilience, perseverance, and tenacity. They will also learn how to take turns, how to encourage others, and how to develop their empathy. Now, healthy competition, when done right, inspires kids to do their best and not just enough. So it will really give them a drive to compete, and they will become more inquisitive. They will initiate their own research independently, and they will want to work with other people, and they will strive to do more than what is required. So this is what healthy competition does. These abilities prepare children for future situations of all kinds. So whether it's applying to college, learning what incentive you want to take in secondary school, even far more in the future, seeking a promotion, or finding the ability to be competitive, these will give them an important edge as a person in the future. So when giving feedback to children and giving them motivation, their performance and improvement when winning is not the sole or primary objective. It's when kids get to learn about themselves under challenging situations. So under these circumstances, competition can teach invaluable lessons or children do not typically learn in the classroom. But then, as said a while ago, if you do not have a healthy definition of what success is, the frequent win at all costs mentality of competition associated with many different competitive endeavors can undermine children's motivation and lead them to avoid or disengage from activities that they otherwise enjoy. So it is critical that us adults and parents, educators, work to teach these valuable lessons from competition as instead of taunting them to a darker path towards the end. So that way, win or lose, our children will learn, they will grow and be better prepared for life. So we have to remember that competition is good for children, and it's quite normal for people to judge themselves against others. And children do that too. Thus, in that respect, competition is quite healthy, and in a supportive environment, which we should be giving, it can teach a child to accept that failure is something to be accepted without losing self-esteem. And as I said, it only becomes unhealthy when the children are forced to compete, or they feel like they have to compete to be the best, or to receive attention or love or status within the classroom, the family, or in the community. So if you misuse competition, these are some problems that you might start to face. So if we are not careful with how we frame motivation, success, competition, these are some of the things that might happen at school or in the family. So competition can make children feel disappointed. Not everybody who enters a competition would win, and not all that who lose can appreciate the effort they put at the moment they lose. Some children may hurt very badly by a less than perfect result. So when they don't win, they might seem to lose confidence. And it could be fixed by teaching students to be sportsmanlike and understand that not everyone can win all the time. And also by framing that losing is not the end of it all. I mean, you have to validate what they feel, but it is not the end of it all. Today is just another day. There's still tomorrow. There's still the next day. There's still the next week. So even if you feel some heavy emotions right now, you teach them some of the coping mechanism, healthy coping mechanisms that they may be able to use so that they can tackle through their feelings of disappointment whenever they don't do so well. So children can also feel threatened or unsafe by these kinds of situations. And when they are feeling unsafe, it makes them feel emotions such as anxiety, anger. These are feelings that help them survive the day. And when children are feeling these negative emotions, it heightens the level of conflict inside your classroom or inside your home, and it takes up important brain processing space that could be used for higher level thinking tasks that are more important in doing your best. So if they feel like so, and we did not prepare them for these emotions, it might not be, well, it will not be productive. And as such, children will also be stressed. And as it is accompanied by stress, some students may do poorly on the following weeks as they are put off other things, making their lives less well-rounded. So they might focus on this one too much that they forget to enjoy the other aspects of schooling or life or their siblings. Thus, they will refuse to connect or less participation in the classroom. If competition doesn't give kids a goal that they can reach, the activity becomes, well, there's no purpose for it. For a child, I mean, if you are a child and you see a goal that is unattainable, you feel is unattainable, you don't have the tools to reach it, um, it will cause some unbalance, and others may fall behind. So this kind of competition will cause stress and make children less interested in doing similar things that evoke such feelings. So an unhealthy competition might be one where the main goal is to win instead of learning something new or learning how to work as a team. So these are the kinds of competitions you might think of twice about using inside your classroom. Another thing is breeding hatred and violence. While children don't mean to be hateful and violent, um, when a child's self-esteem is already hurt, they will start to feel these heavy emotions that can easily lead to aggressive actions, a lack of sportsmanship, and maybe as they grow older, they will find that they can cheat their way through a competition, which really isn't productive for children to learn. So this is a cycle that you may want to practice. So as I said, different age groups will have their complete different cycle when it comes to conflict and managing different relationships, yeah, and friendships. So these are the 4 things I feel that are very important to practice again and again and again. So one is to foster self-control. So you teach your child how to identify the triggers and how to act when on the event that they are triggered. Um, should also teach your child the beauty of taking one for the team or teamwork, the emphasize the importance of being a good team player without enforcing unrealistic roles, fairness, um, and it's not being equal to each and every child or sibling, and handling stress. So yeah, these are things that you may want to practice again and again on different phases of your child's life. So you may expect a lot of episodes of rivalry and competition, but let's not blame ourselves unfairly for the way our children behave, and let's not set unrealistic goals for harmony in the in our homes and in our rooms. So what's important is that our children have healthy ways to work the conflicts out. So yeah, as a reminder, let's treat our children as the unique individuals they are. We make each child feel special. Each person's needs, feelings, and perspectives are important. In relation to that, let's nurture their self-esteem in a healthy way, such as being a good role model, banning harsh criticism to others, to ourselves, and to them by showing them how to focus on their strengths and how to maximize their weaknesses. So even if you feel like you're weak, it can still be a way to do something else. Let's just rewire their brain thinks, and let's not coerce our child in doing things that they don't want to do. So self-esteem can start as early as the early babyhood, if you may call it, as 18 months. It develops slowly over time, and it will start because a child feels safe, loved, and accepted. It can start when a baby gets positive attention and loving care. Now, when these tiny humans become toddlers and young children, preteens, they're able to do some things by themselves. They will feel good about themselves when they can use their new skills, and their self-esteem will grow when parents pay attention, when teachers let children try, when we give smiles, simply as that, and when we show them that we are proud. Now, as kids grow, self-esteem can grow too. And anytime kids try things, do things, and learn things as a chance for them to grow. And this can happen when kids make progress towards a goal, learn things at school, make friends and get along, learn skills such as music, sports, and art, cooking, even tech skills. Very that's a very modern way. Practice favorite activities can be as simple as completing a chore by themselves, helping, giving, or being kind to one another, and such. So with the topic of self-esteem, I want to emphasize that we should not overpraise. Praise that doesn't feel earned doesn't ring true. So even before they're about to start something and you already tell them a lot of good things about themselves, it can be a little misleading. So there is affirmative language and there is overpraising. So for example, telling a child he played a great game, for example, that he was the best person there when he already told you and he knows that he did not, and he did not. So telling him that he's great and he's wonderful and he's the best will feel hollow and fake for the child. So it's better to say, for example, I know that wasn't your best game. You might feel very down right now, but everyone has their off days, and I'm still proud of you for not giving up. So see, there are different ways to rephrase and not um praising our child in a hollow and fake manner. You can also even add in a vote of confidence, such as tomorrow, you'll be back on your game, or in a few weeks with practice, you'll be into it, or I'll help you. Let's do 10 minutes every day. Let's practice together 10 minutes or an hour or 30 minutes. Then let's see how much you'll improve. Then you can also praise effort. Let's not focus on praise only on results or fixed qualities, such as being smart, being the fastest, being the strongest. Instead, offer your most of your praise for effort, progress, and attitude. For example, you're working hard on that project, you're getting better and better on these tests, or I'm proud of you for practicing this instrument. You're really focused. That's a good thing, to be focused on one thing. So with this kind of praise, kids put effort into things, work towards goal without it being the end game of it all. And they're more likely to succeed emotionally as well when they do that. This will, in turn, help them build resilience. So they will learn how to set their own goals. When you model the language, they will also learn how to be proactive. They will learn to succeed by learning to fail. And the importance of health and well-being. This is self-soothing and prevention skills. So they will know how to self-soothe and self-regulate, and how to react to certain situations that might not feel as comfortable. So let's help children do these three as we provide a safe environment in our classrooms and at home as well. So setting goals, let's remind children that setting goals will present them with the opportunity to experience setbacks in a positive way, because it will enable them to anticipate these setbacks and obstacles, and you may help them. They can initiate the brainstorming of solutions ahead of time, so they will feel like they're equipped to handle situations that might get overblown or might feel like it's getting all over the place. This will help, preparing, being setting your goals and being proactive about it helps shape students as effective problem solvers who don't give up at the first hurdle. In other words, resilient. So yeah. So as conclusion, let's put it all together. These are just some phrases that we might want to tell our children. And it might be a little controversial, but we don't have to like people all the time. Maybe friends or siblings or cousins. It's okay not to be friends with everybody. It's normal to lose and feel bad about it. It's so wonderful to win and want to be proud of it, to shout to the world, and to want to win. It's okay to want to win. It's also okay if you're okay with losing. And if you feel bad about it the next day, it's fine. As long as you stay respectful, loving, and kind. So that's the end of my talk. I hope you got something from it. And there we still have, I'm so sorry, I said a lot of stuff. So we still have a lot. I mean, we still have 3 minutes. If you do have questions, do raise your hand and I will try to answer them to the best of my ability.
Thank you. As she said, if you have any question, you can use the hand reaction or leave a comment in the chat. We have 3 questions already, so let's see what they have to say. Let's see what they have. Kuomi, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
Hello, good evening to you. I am so much happy for the presentation. It's a very good presentation. I just have a question. I have a child who is good in class, is 8 years, but sometimes very moody and fearful to get out at night. And then sometimes complains that why the kids pronounce his name wrongly. And he gets very scared and complains most of the time, and want to know what could be the best advice for that a child who is mostly fearful at night and feels scared generally. What could be the reasons and how could help this child who is fearful and always complains for anything small and always wants to quarrel with the sister? I don't know what is happening, and I feel like it's a good time to get to hear from others, maybe the advice. And thank you.
All right, I hear that you have a very emotional and very intuitive child. So the first thing you do, of course, is to validate your child and to tell them that it is normal to feel this way. It is normal to be scared, for example, at night, of the dark, of the different sounds you hear. You have to do a step by step with them. Why are you scared, or what makes it scary for you? So is it the uncertainty of what you're hearing because you're unsure of what it is? It might hurt you. It's something you don't hear when it's daytime. Then you zoom into that, and then you'll find out that these sounds that you hear are just rustling of the leaves, or a stray cat passing by, or the light of the moon that shines and then suddenly there are clouds and it's so dark. So these are just natural things that happen, and it's okay to be scared of them because this this feeling will help you survive. So these are just feelings of wanting to survive throughout the night. So let's validate our child of their feelings and then help them solve how to face these feelings along the way. So for example, at night, if they are scared, you may want to try, or you may want to suggest to them if they want to try, for example, playing music or a night light, maybe a music counting down until they're deep asleep already, maybe an hour of white noise, pink noise, brown noise, or maybe just holding their hand, or maybe not even physical things. Maybe you can show you can let them know, for example, that a heart cut out. I saw this before in a post that a parent has cutouts of hearts, and then they told their child that when you see a heart in your room, that means I checked in on you throughout the night. And then you might not even check in on them like multiple times throughout the night, but it is kind of validating as a child to wake up to many hearts. And then your parent is looking after you throughout the night. They might feel like, oh, they've checked me 100 times. I'm okay. They're checking in on me. It will make me feel more secure, more safe. So you might want to try that technique as well. I hope that answered your question. Yes, Dr. Jane.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the lecture. I got to understand the presentation goes more on fastest, smartest, and strongest child upbringing. Then one, we have the upbringing of the child, as in telling, I want to drink water, I want to urinate. Secondly, the education. The child knows how to read, write, greetings, and all that. That the third, this is the environmental factor. Resistance to certain things, bad influence by bad group and bad. Then resistance to who you don't know, take this money, come inside my room and all that. So the child knows all those fundamental environmental factors. Now, the fourth one, have him bring this person up to this stage. Education, environmental factors, and all that. He is now well to do certain things. Now, going back on this first stage, I have a parent that trained me. I have little ones. I'm of age to get married. I am of age to live up from my parents. I have my own house, even if it is renting. I have my own kids and train them as well. So on this note, I would like you to have, or could you have some explanation further in respect to this?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase your question? I don't seem to understand the context of it.
The context is this, in respect to fastest, smartest, and strongest. And I mentioned all this, all bringing of the child, the education, environmental factor, and the feedback from. So can you explain more on this in respect to fastest, smartest, and strongest, which is the winner?
Oh, if I were to expound on it, then we would take much longer time in our talk. I could actually have that as one of the lineups for the next ones of my talk.
Okay. But I would
All
like
right.
even if it is a minute summary.
All right, thank you. How about Dominic? Yes.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. Excellent presentation. My question that I typed into the chat was, did you say early in the presentation, I think it was about 10:20 a.m. or thereabout, where you said reinforcement or rewards work best in long-term increments, or did you say short-term increments? And could you please expand a bit? Short-term. Okay, great. Could you expand for me? I missed that part.
Oh, okay. So short-term increments mean in little bits, but it also depends on what you're celebrating or what you're rewarding the child for. So as I mentioned, if it's as small as, for example, completing their homework the whole week, then that means you connect it to time. So that means they have more time doing other things, non-academic things that they like, such as hanging out with their friends, going out to the mall, because they already completed the task that they were supposed to do at hand. So that's a weekly thing. But if you would want to celebrate a whole academic year with your child, if it is your legitimate child, you can go out for something that includes everybody's interests. For example, you have three children in your family. You might include all of their interests and combine it into one big celebration, such as maybe a family day together, a family week. It can be as grand as going to a different country, or as simple as having um, a cooking show together, a cooking cookout together, spending time, doing things that they love the most. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Okay, I'll take one last question before we conclude everything. Yes, Sarah. Yes, Sarah. Oh, I'm having trouble hearing your audio. I'll call on Maureen.
Yes, hi. How are you? My question is, I have a daughter who just recently reported to me, in her class, someone bullies her, and I don't know how to handle that situation, because when I told her I should tell the teacher, she said then the bullying will become worse because the other parent, because there's a case which was mishandled, so she thinks she's also going to be mishandled. And yet I can't keep quiet. I need to get a solution. How should I go about this?
Oh no, I'm so sorry your child is experiencing this. Um, I feel like you have to go. I mean, I feel like you already dove in deep on what the bullying was all about, and it feels like, I mean, it seems like your child has an awareness of how these things are handled in her school. So if it is a possibility, you may want to still contact the teacher, still hear what they have to say about the incident, and maybe learn more about the bully. So the bully and their family. So is it a family that is well known in your district? I mean, it is a thing that happens when a child is protected by people in power. It can be a thing that they don't really care what the consequences are because it can be erased so quickly. Or if the child the bully doesn't receive any sort of consequence, um what kind of family are they in? Maybe the parents are also absent and the child also needs some guidance. Maybe you'd like to look into that if you feel like it's your obligation, like if it you're the only key to solving this case for your child as well. And the most extreme solution is to have your child transferred to a different school, or maybe just teach your child that things happen, but it hurts, but it doesn't define our experience in school. So someone can be mean to you, but that doesn't mean it gives everyone an avenue to be mean to you. Like, you can be the star in somebody else's life, right? I mean, you don't have to be friends with everybody. You just have to learn how to deal with conflict, how to soothe with their own emotions. I mean, if there's really no way out, then self-regulation and soothing is the key. We teach our children how to handle their emotions. We can talk about it again and again, and soon enough a whole year has passed and your child will find new different friends. They will find new different experiences. They would have had different coping mechanisms and would have experienced different conflicts with this bully. So I hope you just have this safe space. I'm glad your child has a safe space with you, that she feels safe enough to say these, but you may also might want to do your own research about the situation without letting your child know, just to have a whole idea of it um, outside of your child's perspective.
Thank you.
All right, that is all for today. I'm so glad everybody, if you came, 100 and more people inside. I'm really glad we're all here today. So yeah, thank you so much for joining my talk today, and I hope I see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Take care and see you tomorrow at the
Bye-bye.
same time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye-bye.